We are live. Okay.
We're
Hi,
live.
everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the launch of Heaven Looks Like Us, and being with us to commemorate Nakba Day 2. It's so beautiful to be in community with everyone and be in the same virtual space as our contributors and our readers who we have spent the last 4 years working with on this anthology. And it has been so much joy and grief and beauty and love. And I am just, I am like in a different zone right now being with you all. Um, I'm going to, because we have a long lineup of readers, I'm going to read partly from the introduction and also then pass it off to George to say a few words. Um, And also just give a shout out to George, who has been so patient with me and working with this anthology. And I could not imagine taking on this project with anyone else. I've never met anyone who is as abundantly joyful and down to do the beautiful labor for this community. So, and with this community. I'm going to read the first part of the introduction, and then George, I will pass it off to you. We are writing from one of the darkest moments of Palestinian history into a future whose shape, let alone existence, is unknowable to us. It is January 2024. We are over 100 days into the latest iteration of Zionist genocide in Gaza, and with the necrotic weight of countless slaughtered kin, each a whole universe of dreams, hopes, wonders, beauties stolen from us too soon, we sing. After the threshold of apartheid, after the slaughter of arms and white phosphorus became the genocide of bombed hospitals and starving streets, we sing. After realizing the sheer number of times we've been here before, after impossible siege, and after Nakba made a repetition of us, after repetition made a Nakba of us, we sing. Poetry for our people has always been a kind of impossible music. We remember Kanafani, who wrote to the Fallahin left behind in the Nakba of 1948. Farmers and workers who, in their labor of love to the land, remembered details of their ethnically cleansed villages with field songs. It is here, in a tradition of resisting such annihilation, that our revolutionary verses stake their origin and hail people to join our fight, as Mahmoud Darwish once wrote. Dust of my country, I rebel for you. Returning brother, I rebel for you against a colonial regime that disremembered the basic facts of us via archival looting, theft, and plunder, with both the unwriting and paving over implicit to all acts of erasure, the shape of our memory left behind is not one of empire's telos, but of catastrophe's timeless and fragmented lyric. From the singular wound of our becoming Palestinian, we emerge as mirror and agitator. We live our deaths in exile, trespassing border after board after failed border, presencing ourselves in every tongue that fails to hold the weight of us, translating wound into world, into word. We are writing from the event horizon of another world, and thus the times are filled impossibly with terror. Let us be clear. We come not to present institutionally sanitized, stakeless poetry, as is typical in hegemonic Anglophone spaces, especially in the US. We sing as the embodied aftermath of the cost of Western imperial living. We come as swarm, as multitude and multiverse. We come to uncraft, dismantle, and reimagine the imperial tools of language that made our unwriting impossible to begin with, possible to begin with. We come acknowledging the weight of the slaughtered writers that brought us to this moment. Intellectuals like Ghassan Kanafani and Rifat al-Arir, who terrified the state with their brilliance. Journalists like Shireen Abu Akleh and the over 100 martyred in 2023 alone for witnessing the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Murdered poets like Hiba Abu Nada, who, looking death in the face, teach life with every breath. After against a failed literary imagination that can only digest us in death and suffering, against institution after illiterate institution censoring the basic truth of us, against every cowardly writer refusing to speak out, even as poets in our community are kidnapped, imprisoned, tortured, even martyred. For their words, we come with the insistence that the Anglophone world bears witness to our living. We sing like the whole world is at stake. We sing because the whole world is at stake. Now I would like to pass it off to my sibling, George Abraham.
Thank you, Noor. I'm just going to continue from where Noor left off. We are writing from the event horizon of another world, and thus the times are filled terrifyingly with possibility. Our journey took us across the globe, connecting with Palestinians living and dead, writing against settler nations like the US and Australia, against the lingering effects of British occupation and continued Western imperial support for the Zionist regime, against our ongoing ethnic cleansing in our homeland, daring to occupy, dare we say, break language with the sheer weight of us. Poetry itself requires this supremely intimate attention to language, even and especially when listening to the spaces where language fails us. And here we return to Fargo Tabaki's line that inspired the title, Heaven Looks Like Us. There's a heft to it, this notion of us, that emblematizes the spirit of this massive anthology. There's a metonymic inversion at the center of its logic. The we of our anthology does not want to reduce itself to a convenient as myth as heaven, understood in some narrow religious or moral sense, or some already dreamt, necessarily exclusionary utopian sense. Against such reductions, it is heaven that should aspire to look like us, a heaven supersaturated by the deaths we suffered at the hands of this racist settler colonial necropower on one hand, but also a heaven we make of each other nevertheless, a heaven of holding, of unimaginable weight, a heaven of us. By invoking heaven in the title, we do not mean to imply that this is in any way a religious anthology. The history of Palestine has never been a religious conflict. Rather, it has always been a case of settler colonial regimes weaponizing religious mythos, as historian Nur Masalha and many others have argued, for the purpose of erasing the material, lived realities of a people on this ground. It is a truth we have long held. In us, the West does not see us, but their inability to see and love their whole selves. Despite its seeming vastness, this anthology is but a small fragment of Palestinian literary production from the year 2000 onwards. We do not and cannot claim to be definitive, because to do so would buy into American myths of representation which erase the vast complexity of our community by uplifting a select few for the sake of legibility and palpability at the expense of erasing entire worlds of art and potential. What you hold in your hands is not a definitive history of Palestinian literature. For projects like that, we recommend Salma Khadra Jayusi's legendary 1992 Anthology of Modern Palestinian Literature, among so many others. What you hold in your hands is instead an intergenerational love letter to a people resisting the annihilation of now. And again, I cannot help but think every single day, as I'm sure everyone on this call and many people watching this are thinking about the folks in Gaza right now who are being very intentionally starved, very publicly, very viscerally, and very brutally starved by the US and by the Zionist regime. And we're going to be linking a lot of resources for donating to amazing folks like the Samir Project. Look at Gaza Funds on Twitter, so many other individual campaigns. Um, but to continue, put differently, the anthology is geographically broad in scope, but it insists on being anti-universal. It is hefty, dare we say maximalist, but anti-divinative. It does not seek to represent, but instead seeks to complicate, to trouble, to unsettle, dare we say, to terrorize. We resist the material and mythological violences imposed on us by the Zionist regime, built upon Western and especially British colonial obsession, dare I say fetishization with Palestine, built upon a legacy of Christian hegemonic mythos that fetishizes the land at the active expense of its people. If myth, as Larissa Sansor's work suggests, creates fact and identification, then maybe one of the foremost jobs of Palestinian literature today is to resist erasure at this level of myth, which structures our every form of living. We ask instead, can we sing a different myth of us in poetry? Can we imagine other modes of being, other languages of love? And with that, I'll pass it off to the very incredible Matin Hamad, who's joining us from Palestine and prioritizing folks. It's a massive lineup. Strap in, y'all. Prioritizing folks with time zone difficulties. And so yeah, I'll pass it off to Matin right now. I'm so excited to hear you read.
Thank you, George, and thank you, Noor. I'm going to be reading a poem called The Mundane. Skateboarding is a critique of space. One exists within it, eyes honed to their surroundings, a gift like a raven's vision, a vista and a fuck you to the pullers of the strings. In Palestine, this occurs as a spatial critique of explicit and mundane violence. Explicit is visible violence, checkpoints as colonial arteries, night raids for Fajr, physical segregation, and a dispossession continuum. Over 7 decades of high-stakes necropolitics, the eyes, water, and apathy. Mundane is ambiguous, unnoteworthy violence, the prevalent and mainstream garden variety of control. Facial recognition cameras, biometric mining, apartheid tech, information, a 21st century colonial gaze, and cement horizons. My eyes stare back, unblinking at this architecture. Peace plans and roadmaps to nowhere, the perpetuity of a multi-pronged and weaponized occupation, the kingdom of domination, the infinity of apartheid, and the cryptic illness it infects to the imagination, which feeds back into life. This all takes place under the radar, invisible to the untrained eye. I get swept with feelings of anguish when I contextualize it. The agony of not being able to show the magnitude and scale of injustice that frame the present-day reality of Palestine. Color the languish I insist to dismantle. I am no longer a kid, and there is no return to suburbia for me. I will pass now to Olivia. Thank you.
Okay. The first one is a George choice. Light. Non, lumière. Je lisais ô chevaux, la lumière est pourtant innocente, et répétais ô chevaux, la lumière est pourtant mortelle. Curieuse chose, lumière peut tuer et ne dure pas. L'amour aussi. L'amour est immortel parce qu'il ne dure pas. Ou est-ce l'inverse? Et la lumière? Dresser la liste de tout ce qui peut tuer et ne dure pas.
Now I'll read the English translation. Light by Olivia Elias. I was reading Horses, still the light is innocent, and repeated, Horses, still the light is fatal. Odd thing, light can kill and doesn't last. Love, too. Is love fatal because it doesn't last, or is it the other way around? And light, draw up a list of everything that can kill and doesn't last.
Nos valises sont toujours prêtes. Nous qui connaissons l'exil, nos valises sont toujours prêtes. Partir, partir. Et ce n'est que dans notre village que nous sommes enfin chez nous. De mémoire très ancienne, je connais cette chaleur, cette moiteur. Je les ai sentis dans le ventre de ma mère. Et lorsque j'ai ouvert les yeux pour la première fois, il y avait le bleu de ses yeux et tout autour le bleu du ciel de Haïfa. Bleu comme le ciel de Beyrouth, d'avant le béton et la pollution, si bleu que je m'y plongeais le soir avant de m'endormir, dans la nuit blanche et glacée de cette grande ville d'Amérique que l'on nomme Montréal, et qui tourne le dos à son fleuve pour mieux oublier l'exil. Bleu, bleu, bleu. Et il y avait le parfum du jasmin que l'on retrouve partout, dans tous les jardins de Damas. Et il y avait les grenades, les figues et les reines Claude, et tous les fruits du paradis.
This is the title of our first chapter. The poem is titled, like the first chapter is titled, Our Bags Are Always Ready. And I also want to say both of these are translated from the French by Karim James Abu Zaid, who's an amazing translator. We who know exile, our bags are always ready. Depart, depart. And it's only in our village that we're finally at home. From very ancient memory, I know this land, this warmth, this moisture. I felt them in my mother's womb. And when I opened my eyes for the very first time, there was the blue of her eyes, and all around the deep blue of the Haifa sky. A blue like the sky of Beirut, before all the concrete and pollution, so blue I used to dive into it before falling asleep in the frozen white night of this great American city they call Montreal, which turns its back on its own river to better forget the exile. Blue and still more blue. I felt this warmth in my mother's womb, and there was the scent of jasmine rife in all the gardens of Damascus. There were the pomegranates, the figs, the greenages, and all the fruits of paradise. Thanks to Olivia.
Yes, Priscilla.
And now we'll pass it to Priscilla Wathington, my good friend.
Oh my God, that was incredible. Noor, George, thank you so much for your work. You've been working at this so diligently with so much care amidst these enormous stakes and grief. Thank you for showing up for all of us this way. And to my fellow readers, my cousins, my comrades, I just want to say you all are the dream. My poem is called Hungriest Organ. The water of me goes out, Yaoud. The body flux of basin, of hailstone, until our eyes grow new scopes, the state gathers food. Slip of thread between cells, empire the hungriest organ. Martial wools, the pant seams can be let out. Leave them in the basket under the armchair. The separation of us is in the syntax. Each dialect its own creek. Semantics widen, narrow with channel. Phonemes, dropped sediments, monument the journey. Find the path of least resistance over the cliffs. If this folk physics, so our optimism. What goes up? How much of your water in the sky over Palestine this day? Ha'it, an unstable symbol evaporating off the top. The infant mortality indicator is a harbinger. Some winters, what goes out does not return. And I'm going to pass to Mandy.
I don't think Mandy's here yet, so let's circle back to them and go on to Hannah and Hindi.
That's my sister.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Good afternoon. Whew, I'm a little nervous. I'm gonna try not to look at my sister. Okay, I'm going to be reading Mama's Closet. Here we go. Every summer, Mama opens her closet. She gives me heels too high for her to wear, words she cannot pronounce, dresses she cannot fit in, dreams she miscarried. I wore stilettos to defend my dissertation. It's too controversial, they said, for a woman serious about fighting the occupation. Mama hangs her dreams on the laundry lines my dad built her in the basement. The sun doesn't reach the basement. Can I have this dress, Mama? This thobe is ripped, Yamma. Dress is unworn, words unspoken, a closet of incomplete sentences. I kept this dress for you, she says. When you marry a good Palestinian man, you'll wear it. Mama folds her words tightly. Google can't find the translation. When she moved to America, she never unpacked. In the corner of her closet, there's a white jewelry box. They sold her gold to buy Iraqi currency. The war dismantled the currency. We have many bills, but Macy's doesn't recognize them. She buys all the dresses and says, "This was on clearance, Yamma." My ears hurt. I cannot understand this language. In middle school, Baba gives me 50 cents for recess. I buy zebra cakes, ears to understand, laundry ropes to hang in the backyard of our home. Thank you. And now I'll pass it on to Rasha.
شكرا يا حياتي. أهلا وسهلا كل الناس. We gather here as our people in Gaza are being violently bombed and brutally starved. As my wise friend at Gaza Funds says, it is not Nakba Day, it is Nakba century. This poem I read today is a prayer not for a prize-winning, killing peace that writes after Gaza, but for our bravest actions that are louder than the best poet's words, to keep our peoples in Gaza and Palestine alive. May we all be finished with the peace. You can tell, can't you, hey, how the peace is the war they won. Pursuing peace has been the best excuse for making war. That peace of quelling, peace of graveyard, peace of the heaven of the carpet bombed and altar bled, peace of the quiet they require, peace of the weight of chains, peace of the drowned, peace of those by their own lives taken, peace of total surrender, the peace of everything stolen and nothing left to fight for or defend, peace of evicted homes, peace of full prisons, peace of 23 hours in solitary, peace of checkpoints, peace of total surveillance, the peace of no dissent or disagreement, peace of no payment for the workers, peace of empty farms, peace of full slaughterhouses, peace of blood on the slaughterhouse floor, peace of the empty clip and empty canister, peace of the tank's tread, peace of the drone's hum, peace of the hard-shelled fist of speed and progress, of a more perfect union with the end of the baton, peace of the long road from the locked city to the village, peace of the smooth surface of the long wall, peace of the sniper's perch, peace of disappearance, peace of kidnapping, peace of trust and gagged, and no more the din of petition and protest, no more our jokes played, our banners planted on the back of police vans, our murals covering barricades, no more our dances against an audience of riot shields, no noise of the living, noise of the resisting, noise of children chasing each other, no noise of old folks talking story, no noise of groceries delivered, medicines delivered, dinners delivered, the debts loudly canceled and forgiven, no noise from the painters and poets and musicians, the puppet makers and sculptors, no more our mics electrified and peace spread, no more the insurgent sound of us tending each other, making repair, reclaiming houses, derailing train engines to run as generators. So I pass now to my dear sibling, Dina.
I'm just going to be reading one poem today. It's going to be the one that's in the book. It's called Genesis. I annotated our Earth's erosion, attempting to find this poem's pivot. Brimming with new biblical allusions, sea foam creeps up my toes by the minute. Water once surged from a world broke open by the great deep's oil fountains, unmentioned the last time this happened. We were broken by storms stacked against us. Who knows what chant will save us? God annotates our margins, then emarginates our being. I can't wait for every creeping man who creepeth in his bunker arced underground to plant a new world becoming. Drill our seeds deep into his concrete and stone, sink him in his own oil. The fresh fruit of this earth is so much sweeter than his buckets of Armageddon slop. And I will pass it to Lena Abu Talib.
Hi. Okay, I'm gonna read a poem that is originally published in Poetry Online called Languaging Memory. Okay. You, we, I. Do you remember? He was your age now. Tall, the rifle. 4, then 7, then 10. Qalandia, Ramallah, September, Yarmouk, Kuwait. Can you say the name? Everyone wants futility. Let them languish and despair, disguising pride and cowardice. I am born in fugitive, the cover of eternity clothing me. If not this life, the next. If not us, the next. I will forget. I list massacres in my head by the decade. What has been stolen cannot be said. What do I know of theft? What do I know of loss? My lungs permanently damaged from the tear gas. I'm scared for my womb. April, the fear of motherhood. What was I supposed to tell him? Mariam called. Did they think one begets emptiness? Father of what? The strikes left on me like an infant suckling. My daughter will hold them as I have. Like her mother, she will grow into her mother. The banner of fire setting her aflame. The prison, the sound bombs, the stampedes. I grew with hands tracing the walls in search of radios, training paranoia. My mother's daughter, her eyes and her will. I know the shape war leaves. I too played between the abandoned homes, stuck my fingers through the bullet holes like a portal, a looking glass into the other side, imagining the width of despair as if I am not made of my mother's fractured hips and begotten memory. I still know the shape of the bunker. We spent 20 years not eating lentils afterwards. Would you give birth in Palestine? I can no longer wait. I remember forever now, embraced in the still death. How memory becomes tangible, genetics permanently altered. I speak like my father. How beautiful you are, Habibi. Tupurni. I'll see you on the other side, our child naming the fruits. And I'm going to pass it off to Ahmed.
Is Ahmed here?
Possibly not. So we can pass it off to Badia.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Thank
Hi.
you. So I will be reading a poem for the soul of Shireen Abu Aqle. A letter to my killer. Palestinian I am, my name is settled high. My blood watered the land beneath my feet and will not be squandered. Palestinian I am, despite enemies' schemes, my soul roamed the streets of Jerusalem, carried on the shoulders of my mourners. O you who cower at my voice, you who ordered my throat to be cut, beware. When your bullet shook my skull, know that you have written my immortality. Wait for me, I am returning. Your ghost I will be to deprive your every night's sleep. And I will read this in Arabic. رسالة إلى قاتلي. فلسطينية أنا، اسمي في الأعالي استقر. دمي روى تراب الأرض ولن يضيع هدر. فلسطينية أنا رغم كيد الأعادي. روحي طافت في شوارع القدس على أكف الأيادي. فيا أيها الجبناء يا من أخافكم صوتي فأصدرتم قرار اغتيالي، اعلموا أنما أنكم قد كتبتم خلودي عندما أنهيتم حياتي، وأني عائدة فانتظروني. شبحكم سأكون لأحرمكم نوم الليالي. Thank you. And I pass it to Samar.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful hearing that in both languages. This poem, I took a travel writing class in my MFA program, and we read The Sheltering Sky by Paul Bowles. I'm living in Morocco now and have learned more about Paul Bowles, the Orientalist writer who wrote about this region. So this poem is a response to his work, The Sheltering Sky, from the perspective of three of the women in the book. And this is the poem that's in the anthology as well. It's called Vulqasim's Wives. And it has an epigraph from Rafif Ziadeh's Shades of Anger. Sorry, should I not scream? I forgot to be your every Orientalist dream. 1. Marwa. Vulqasim brought a white girl home again, Serwal swallowing her thin figure, hips wanting meat to fill them out. He thinks he is clever. Her quiet, her fingers, they are nothing like a man's, her breasts beating at the sash, threatening to ruin his see-through scheme. The girls are still green, think he's taken a prisoner indeed, wait with bated breath for his Sahara stories. 2. Hiba. I want the lipstick. Paint me like one of your French girls you love so much. I will drown myself in this perfume to smell like wealth and beauty and power. You found her تحت السماء على الطريق. You hoisted her upon the back of the camel. How red do my lips have to be? How hairless my legs for you to take me with you, to sail the sea of sand. I want to see a Sudan too, to lie with you من الهلال إلى البدر and back again. 3. Rana. Bitch bit me. Tourist. Bint al-Kalb. You look fucking stupid in your Bedouin getup, Aladdin-ass bitch. Did you think you'd find yourself out here in this dry heat? You, your ilk, and your post-war wanderings never saw a bullet, still clutching a made-up hole in your heart. Please, خلاص, بكفي, شوية drama. Is this for a film project, an acting seminar? Will playing concubine propel you to stardom? Keep the bangles. Fuck my husband, let the light into your cell. Have some tea, Habibti. We are known for our hospitality, after all. Adar Darik. Thank you. Sorry, and I will pass it off to Rimona Afana. Shukran.
Nar, you ain't got a slit wrist to taste the pomegranate juice running through those veins. Anthocyanins, alegitanins may stain space and time. Time covers still enslaved hills. Mills to pulverize futures, pills to erase pasts. They asked about a chain of pomegranate beads, keeping me tied to an address I was uprooted from. It's not beads or seeds, they're arrows. Aprils, when lightning strikes as you open the door, or August, when notices of eviction are issued, or Novembers, when settlements or unsettlement get notarized as wooden snakes mold in suburban Atlanta, or Mays, when 800,000 lives got fissured and 30 million descendants all still sob in Midtown Hawiya. Displacement can turn oddly cyclical because post-memory, because intergenerational trauma, because blood memory, because continuous traumatic stress, because kismet, because other shit your therapist can monetize. Some call it al-nar, the blaze, though nar means pomegranate too, in the tongue of one of your ex-occupiers. But without the vowels, now RMN. It's just the same for us and them. If only words for its words, the land we're on would turn scalding pitch to take all of us under. You'd then know I am the pomegranate juice which stains, worse than the blood in the wrists that never got slit. And next up, we'll have Sarona.
I don't know if Sorona's. I'm like, is Sorona here? I don't see her.
Okay. Then next up, we'll have Farah Barkawi.
Hi
Also,
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
George, did you want to say something before?
something. Ignore me.
Okay. Thank you everyone for reading. I'm very blessed to be here today, spending this hour with you or 2 hours. Home away from home. I'm gonna read my poem that is in the anthology, but I'm gonna read it in Arabic. It's on page 161 for those who need to read the English. Meanwhile, نمل. في كل مرة يعود لي الحزن أفكر بالنمل. بعد رحيلك بأسابيع قليلة غزا النمل سريري. يتمشى دون وجهة على الملاءة النظيفة المفروشة. يقرصني بلا رحمة كلما استلقيت لأستريح. في كل مرة يعود الحزن أفكر بأنه من الجيد أنك لست هنا، من الجيد أننا لم نعد هنا، لأن جلدك الناعم، جلدك الذي أحب، لم يكن ليحتمل سخافة القرصات اللاذعات. جربت بعض الحيل التقليدية، مسحت أرجل السرير بالخل، صنعت مزيجا من الماء وزيت النعناع، زيت شجرة الشاي، تأكدت من نظافة الملاءة، لكن لا فائدة. النمل مصر على تعكير مزاجي ومقاطعة نومي دون كلل. صديقة لي تظن بأنه يحب العرق، لكنني لا أعرق وحدي دونك. نصحوني باستخدام الكيماويات بلا رحمة، يقولون أن دواء الجرب فعال جدا، يخلط بالماء والخل ورش رش رش ولن يكون هناك نمل بعد. لكنني تكاسلت، أو بصراحة فكرت لماذا أجرب هذه الحيل وأنت لن تعودي، لن تذوقي تلك القرصات فأشعر بالذنب. ولماذا أجرب تلك الحيل وأنا وحدي دونك؟ أفكر أحيانا في الصباحات الصعبة أن هذه القرصات مهمة لتذكيري بأنك قد ذهبت، وبأن النمل ليس عدوي بالضرورة، بل ربما يكون رفيقي في الخلاص منك، وبأن العرق الذي يجذبه إلي، العرق الذي لم أعتده مسبقا، هو عرق انتزاعك كل ليلة من جسدي وروحي، فلا يذهب حبنا سدى، بل يصبح وليمة مفتخمة لأصدقاء الأشقياء. حبنا يا حياتي حب يأكله النمل. I'll pass it now to Carolina Abed. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah. I feel very blessed to be gathering here with all of you. Dissecting an Iris, Part 1 of A Photo. Aziza on the left, Miriam, my grandmother, on the right. Mid-1950s Birzet. My middle name, Miriam, bitter sea. In it, a measurable distance of minutes, of miles, and language and thought, and bulldozers wrecking the plot, and razor wire, and the black magnetic tape holding voices, also a measurable distance. My father has never gone back. They declared him an undesirable, his name typed on a list. They all had leaving in common. Miriam's hand on Aziza's shoulder is a homeland, Lena says. His name on another list, here among the minutes in the subcommittee. Are you grateful to be alive in the lineage? Grateful, grateful, full of something grated. Any more is to admit the circumstances of one's life come down from a great diminishment into smaller shreds. The dream says, rain with sunshine, waves in the Dead Sea. Are you grateful? Yes, says the shred part of the voice. Inside it, her head becomes a seed pod inside a seed pod rattle. My Lord, something irreplaceable, irrefutable dies, something iridescent from the river to the sea. Lord, see the registers hidden in the cochlea, hidden in the gray matter, my Lord. You say you don't remember your dreams. You search for them like helicopter light on bushes. Lord, in it, Something must be simplified, a hand touching a shoulder. Shukran. And I pass it on to Summer.
Hello, thank you. I am going to read a poem that is not from the anthology, but is that I very much associate with my friendship with George and Noor. And so this is No, don't be a birthright apologist, you're so sexy, aha. I place my country in your palm. I cannot help but leave traces of dirt when my arms fall from your waist. This does not mean points on a map are defined by the line of our thighs. No one tastes a fig too sweet, then collapses, a nation, in the name of roots. Once I imagined we kissed, and I was not afraid. Ashes fell on every border, and soon there was nothing to be denied. I consider myself ash. In this, I am alone. Solidarity is not sympathy, it is work. I have built millions of fields for us to try. My soil, Palestinian. Whatever we plant grows leaves of that color. I thought I told you sooner. Thank you. I'm going to pass to Lena.
Hi. Oh my gosh. I am just so nourished by being with all of you in this space. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited to read out of a book my own work for the first time. I just got the book last night. And if anyone wants to read along, I'm reading from page 169. This is called Atmosphere. It's a ghazal. It has a line from Tarfia Faizallah. Okay. Lately, I've found it hard to breathe high altitude air, pang in the chest, heart hug, constriction of blood, stifled air. You can't keep the windows open at night. Teta will blame Lafhet Hawa for my ailments. The culprit, a draft of cool air, as if the invisible mixture of gases that make up our atmosphere could be at fault. As if at velocity there is threat of air. Golden glaze of the moon, honeysuckle ripe, palm fronds silhouetted. I breathe easiest by the ocean, sun sleepy, slurping salt air. At night, soaped and soaked, Mama tucked me in, my body still swaying with the rhythm of waves. Night blooming Sirius saturates air. Bah, ya bah, she stroked my palm, repeated the incantation, a spell she was spinning with breath, spider web of air. Where now is the word for such intimacy? Liminally asleep, my little hand in hers, slightly larger, chilled bronze. The sound of her air calling, Lena, our little one, safe travels to the sleep state beyond. Today is a sown seed that sprouts into dreams in night air. Thank you. And next up we have Emily.
Well, you can hear me? Okay. I'm going to read from something not in a collection. I wrote this recently when I visited Columbia University to see the Edward Said Library. Ekphrasis on shock troops advance under gas, 1924. Even the masks must have taken a great deal of time. Etching, rosin, acid bath, and attention. I can't imagine wanting to. I can barely stomach poems. Each body within contains arteries, irises, antechambers, toenails. I've seen the dismembered hand of a child, half a body waving from a building. Split a thing, and it turns out we're mostly gore. Responding to War is the exhibit name. Otto also spent 3 years painting a huge triptych simply titled War. Shivering in the New York City evening, my friend tells me, 4 students were expelled today, and I say, I'm sorry. Then we eat Ukrainian dumplings. There's a part of France so devastated by bombings from the First World War that it will be uninhabitable for the next 700 years. Every year, farmers uncover unspent shells and call it the Iron Harvest. Even my poems about art are poems about war. A trooper raises his hand, grenade not yet thrown at Otto, who leans over his paper and presses down. The engraving was done using aquatint, which is a beautiful name for a process that requires chemical burns. Everywhere you go, you can be sure of shell, another painting tells me. You have no idea. At dinner, I eat vegetarian borscht, the color of blood. The full moon swings above us like a floodlight or a face. Thank you. I think I'm passing to Nazeh, if they're here.
They might not be here yet. So I'll go ahead and pass it to Bassam.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight with you. I will read The Voice. The voice pulls you to confess the doors, spawned over lifetime, flowing through bloodlines. Swift blues absorbed, no more thanks for. No, sorry. No words release, just breathe. Admit no less than strength. Your way home is through words, with letters, not yours. Corrupt are the lines. The rhyme of your exile. You who try to pass borders, forgot the banks of language. Don't settle down, don't woo. Scream your name to confess you in this way live. Thank you. And now I pass to Angela, or Angie, sorry.
Hi. I'm reading from Athens, Ohio, and I have a Palestinian friend, a good friend visiting, and some of you know him, so I wanted to just have him say hi. It's Willie Noor. Came from Minnesota to visit.
Oh my God, Willie!
I know. So we're having fun in Athens. And I will read a poem. It's not the one in the anthology. But okay. It's called Babysitting Makes Me Start Drawing Again. 3 years ago, my parents died, and then tonight happened shortly afterward. I was babysitting because I just got a PhD and I had a lot of interviews, but I was still a babysitter after my parents died and right after my ovaries stopped producing estrogen. The food bank gave me 2 interviews, but no job. The museum owner laughed at me. So I was babysitting and I'd just lost the house I was renting earlier that summer. My landlord sold it, and then my car died forever, and weeks later, my cat died forever. My life was a country song without the music. And online, I was watching Palestinians die every day. I was babysitting a 6-year-old. 6-year-olds all over the United States had the audacity to go to school to wave goodbye in the driveway, while kids in Gaza haven't been to school in a year because all the schools have been razed to the ground. After my dad's family fled from Palestine, he used to walk to school when there was shooting in the streets in Beirut. And once, on the way home from school, he ran to take shelter in a building across the street, and the boy who ran right behind him was shot dead, lying in the street. And I said, "You still had to walk to school during a war? Here they cancel school for fog. They cancel school for vapor." A different 6-year-old I babysat told his parents, "Fuck you, I'll kill you," while 6-year-olds in Palestine were dying with their roller skates on. And you had to just let them say, "Fuck you, I'll kill you," because we give trauma-informed care now, which is great. But you say that it's not nice, and then they say, "Fuck you, I'll kill you" the next day, while kids in Palestine were evaporated, were dying by the thousands. Israel uses thermobaric bombs, which sucks the air out of children's lungs and they internally explode. An entirely different 6-year-old I babysat built houses with me with magnetic tiles in his living room, but then he began destroying everything I'd build. He ran his remote control monster truck into the house I built. I'd build again and he'd drop a huge cardboard box on the tiles and they shattered apart. I'm going to nuke everything you build, he said. Oh, so I'm Palestine, I asked. What? How did this 6-year-old know the word nuke? So tonight I was babysitting the first 6-year-old who has never said fuck you, who can sometimes be very sweet. And I opened a book he had and I drew Mario, Nintendo Mario, and the drawing looked exactly like Mario. The drawing was so good, he came to life and jumped over 3 mushrooms and punched a block until coins spilled into my pocket. Babysitting money. And even those coins were taxed so that the US could send more money for bombs to kill Palestinians. Mario is supposed to be an example of mukokuseki, or nationlessness, like so many Palestinians have become. My Mario drawing could throw fireballs at Netanyahu. But then the 6-year-old saw my drawing and he said, 2 weeks after my cat died, 3 mere years after my parents died, he said that he was going to rip it up and that he could draw a better Mario. And I said, fucking try, punk. Just kidding. I said, I bet you can. Thank you. And I am handing it off to Hajar.
Thank you. And thank you so much to George and Noor. The poem I'm going to be reading is a more recent poem that I wrote that's not in the anthology. It's called Living Picture of Gaza. In the northeast corner of the screen, there is a small mountain or a mass grave and a flag. It is so far and slight, a speck of occupation. Maybe there are some soldiers. They are very lost. A bit further down and to the west, there is an imaginary truck with imaginary first aid kits and imaginary food and imaginary water. Children with their lips open to the sky collect the water in their mouths. Somewhere, there is a father who had at some point raised his son's body out of the collapsed bedroom. Now there is only oil slipping between his hands. Do you see the oil droplets in the air? Do you see his fingers reflecting the shattered ceiling? On the southern border of the screen, there are pixelated, we lose some connection here, tents. In one of the tents, a woman is alive again on day 537. In another tent, there are pools of unidentifiable liquid. In another tent, a cluster of missing cats gathered from their journey through exile. Some of the cats are dead. There is no other place for them to go. If you look higher, you will see a girl with her head in the rubble. She is searching for her sister. Beside the living girl is another girl who had begun to pull her mother out. Her body turned to dust as soon as it was touched. The girl is carrying a handful of debris. If we had captured the scene a fraction of a second before, maybe there would have been a full body. If we wait a fraction of a second more, maybe there will be nothing but wind. Tableau, a composition of people rooted within the boundaries of a land, or that they are moving so fast, speaking so fast, they look still. Our vision cannot develop fast enough to witness their breath. Our language cannot evolve fast enough to record their absence. Every day, Zionism resettles what it means for a Palestinian to be alive. In the center of the screen, there is a woman holding her husband. She is asking him not to die. She is reckoning in that moment how his name, Khalil, means companion. Tomorrow, he will mean martyr. And next, I will pass it to Nadia.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to be reading, sorry, I'm a little sick, but I'm going to be reading a poem that's not in the anthology. It's called, you can find it on sapiens.org. Jesus is Palestinian, and Jesus is black with woolly hair. So too are Musa and Muhammad and Yusuf, not to mention Job, though he goes by Ayub. Jesus visited the Vatican once and couldn't recognize himself in their image. Asked a horrified tour guide if the paintings weren't supposed to be caricatures. Tried to pay the Pope a visit, but the Pope was too busy. Noticed side eyes and white knuckles as he drifted from hallway to hallway, but wouldn't understand until later. Jesus is lactose intolerant. Jesus has learned to be careful about the kind of car he drives in America, has learned he must stare straight ahead when pulled over, has learned any turn of the cheek results in backup, in his cheek scraping asphalt, splayed out, arms crossed behind his back, knees pressed into the softness of his lungs, he struggles to breathe. Jesus is constantly telling people the correct way to pronounce his name, Isa. Jesus is not allowed to walk on certain streets in his hometown, has had his home sprayed with sewage, has been resurrected more times since 1948 than in all the years before combined, has been detained by Israel, a life sentence given. Jesus is a casualty of war, or a terrorist, or a human shield, or Hamas. The news still can't agree. Jesus is a damned spot Israel cannot wash out, was tortured and mutilated and starved while imprisoned until he joined his brothers and sisters from Gaza and West Bank in heaven, skin and organs harvested for the world's largest skin bank. God begged Israel to release what they left of his body. They told him Jesus isn't finished serving his sentence. Thank you, and I'm going to pass to Aya.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Wow, I feel like I need like a moment to catch my breath for that poem. Just want to like pile on the love and gratitude to George and Noor, and just like the sheer joy of being in this, Zoom room, in companionship and togetherness with everyone. The poem that I will be reading is very, very new, very, very fresh. And yeah, just life developments. So this is divorce poem. Here in tornado country, sirens wail on schedule. I step away from windows and exterior walls. I love a good story, furniture with a past. I scour online listings for mid-century shelving I can't afford. When asked, I don't say bombs dropped over Gaza, your dreams where rubble took over my city. I don't say how the mornings after I wrapped my body around you and held until the wreckage settled. Until the end, I swore we were solid, clean lines and possibility. At grassy yard sales, I test every table for the weight of solid wood. Serenade me with your grandmother's Tiffany lamps, the heft of her dovetail joints. In another life, I told the good stories, dropped them into slots like arcade tokens. A game more of skill than chance. You play until you win or die. I traded my string of tickets for a flat pack life. Top shelf prize? Fair trade? Who's to judge? When we schedule bonds into another natural disaster, solid is only safe as long as it's not crushing you. I am American, enough to go about my day. My papers American enough to say, I deserve this. I deserve this. Thank you all so much. I am going to be passing it on to the phenomenal Zara.
Thank you so much. That poem and all the poems have me in a bit of a wreckage, not gonna lie myself. It's such a deep honor to be here and to be coming to you from Bidjigal land, also known as Southwest Sydney in Australia. And I just want to take a quick moment to +1 all the comments and thank Noor and George. for bringing us into this community. Couldn't have come at a better time. I will be reading excerpts from my poem in the book, Punctuation as Organized Violence, and it is a response to Son of Consciousness and Other Works by Edward Glissant. Hyphen. 30 years ago, my folks migrated to a city half dipped in ocean. To this day, they are sepia-faced and prayer-shaped, coal soot and cedar hills still rolling underneath their fingernails. Arab-Australian, Arab-Australian, this arbiter of gods, this wretched frontier, duality, or hybridity. The Arabic language does not have hyphens because the breaking of something from the inside is not allowed, or we continue on as if it is not broken. We ration bags of za'atar and green almonds and joke in our parents' accents. In this place, we have learned to leaven like dough. Colony wants to uproot the cedar from our nails. To be citizen is gauze negotiating with festering exit wound. Comma. My folks screw me on a land thick with eucalyptus, moss, metropole, genocide. Arab, comma, Australian, comma, other, comma, amen. My first words stumbled out, shreds of language on a clumsy tongue, clenched in between the aches of this suspect body. Our lands, our skies, our lines, heirlooms cannot be fractured or curated so quietly in your museums and galleries. Does a comma slow the chaos or expand it? Arab, comma, Australian, comma, other. In a drop-down list, who I am does not exist in English. Violence enacted by a box. These algorithms of absence. Apostrophe. Every day, Mama and Baba plant the alphabet at first light. Their citrus-skinned bodies are whole cannons. Our lashes lick the sun. We make our way into the golden harvest. Mama and Baba, they're so thin now. The words for what is killing us also thinning. Apostrophe, to contract or to subdue, to possess. Sundays at Arabic school, we chewed mestic-flavored gum loudly and rolled our eyes at Mr. Hamza's conjugations. I must have missed the grammar lesson then. That which you think you possess first possesses you. Thank you. I'm gonna pass on to Rima Shbaita. Apologies if I mispronounced your name.
Hi everyone. I'm so excited to be at a book launch that I didn't host myself because I've been doing all of this for like my campus literary journals and stuff. So this is, I didn't get to do anything. It's a lot of fun. So honored to be here, so inspired by so many of the writers here. And I wanted to read something in, the spirit of everybody also not reading anything from the anthology. I have something else that I wanted to read. So my sister is currently on her undergraduate campus hosting a protest and an action for Nakba Day. And so she asked me if she could read one of my poems during her speech. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like great. It sounds like fun. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm reading my poem that she's reading in her speech. So this one is titled My Aunt's Ring. Fingers crossed for it because right now it's a finalist for a prize. So if it, let's see it happen. Let's see it happen. My Aunt's Ring. My aunt's ring was a rope. A gold band twisted with smooth knobs. She and my father and their mother and their neighbors and their village left behind orchards, the fruit and farm animals because the occupation became close enough to taste. Natural rope splinters the tongue because they remember it unintentionally. My body aches for it too. It's not luck that I sit here unknowing and aware. Gold would taste delicious. We go back to trees. My father jokes with his sister at dinner. This is a funny story. Laugh. They spent 3 weeks watching cave walls that protected them shake, spit dust every time a bomb dropped. Eventually, they got sick of it. My aunt said her mom would rather die on her land than the dirt hole they escaped to. What stupid pride. The joke is this. Because they were gone for so long, they found a feast of chicken eggs and mallow. Only Palestinians eat grass and call it a meal. They had eggs a dozen different ways that day. We always go back. We leave to return, and I think my father bought an orange orchard in America to go home to show us that they're worth dying for. Even though he says we won't ever all travel in the same plane, just in case one crashes. Someone must live to return. I lost my aunt's ring in an orchard. She left it behind. We left oranges behind. And I still lost that ring among fruit that weren't even ours. Thank you so much. I am going to pass it on to, it doesn't look like Mandy or Jen or Vita are here. So Leila Rushi, I think it's your turn. Thank you guys.
Okay, thank you. And I'm so grateful to be here, sharing space with so many creative, caring people. It is just a blessing right now. And thank you, Noor and George, for bringing everyone together like this and for your hard work on the journal. I'm going to read one not in the anthology too, just because the current time, is leading us all into reflection. And I was thinking of my father, so I wrote this poem. I call it The Unfinished Nakba, How Palestinians Mourn. Water from Bir Yaqub rumbles at low boil in the coffee pot over the fire, and the steam warms the throat while a rich taste of bitterness fortifies the voice. And the canary loses its voice in the dark while the sunbird continues to sing in the rubble, its tiny foot grasping an unbreakable key. What I'm saying is that the Nakba never ended. And throughout each decade, each day, each hour, the tailor sewed a new garment and slipped a coin for Palestine into the hem. The soap maker boiled olive oil in lye and washed our collective tears. We stitched the Star of Bethlehem, oranges, and olive and cypress trees into our thobes. We planted olive and watermelon and strawberry seeds in the rubble. We cast them across the earth. We wrote down, we archived, we educated and we learned. We worked, we birthed, we lived, we are still here. And thank you. I'm going to pass it on to Riwa Zinati.
Thank you, Layla. Hi, everybody. I'm going to echo everybody also saying thank you to George and Noor. This is just phenomenal work. I'm going to read a poem from the anthology, which I'm very excited to receive any minute now. This is called Other Wives and Veils and Villages. I used to pray once when I was a child, afraid of too much. In school, they warned about the flames and gave a color. When I asked my mother what does a Muslim believe in, her face lit up and we were in the kitchen then and she was standing near the stove fire, stirring something unafraid. When I introduced him to my mother, she cried that she'd lost her daughter to the lead sky of other wives and veils and villages. She took me to visit fortune tellers and told me to listen. She waited for them to read the coffee grains at the bottom of my cup, to tell me to stop. And while the steel-winged birds dropped bombs over a city, I turned to Darwish and read, على هذه الأرض ما يستحق الحياة. Upon this earth, what's worth living for? The invader's fear of memories and the tyrant's fear of song. The beginning of love, the beginning of love, the beginning. My brother, who never prayed, begins to go to church on Sundays, lights a candle and buys incense and refuses the guest who rests his head against my chest. My mother says marry for love or never, but forgets to explain the bruises and how her family was forced to leave that spring and how much she doesn't remember. We drink strong coffee on the balcony and I pretend that I do not smoke. Thank you. I'm going to pass it on to Mustafa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Noor and George, for this amazing anthology, which I received yesterday afternoon. Great to connect and to listen to your lovely poems and really amazing poems here. And also really appreciate Noor and George's effort to like actually drive like a new generation of poets. I'm in London. Many of you are in North America. Some of you also in Australia, and some of you also in Palestine, and we are connecting together. So that's really great effort. And I'm gonna read my poem in Arabic and then in English, and it is on page 152 for you who got the anthology. It's a short poem that I reflect on the meditations of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. أيها الإمبراطور، ليس صحيحا أيها الإمبراطور أن ما لا ينفع السرب لا ينفع النحلة. اسمح لنحلة مثلي أن تصحح تأملاتك بهذا الخبر. ما عاد هنالك من سرب لأطير فيه، ولا من أزهار برية لتفهم لغتي. الخلية سحقت تحت بساطير البرابرة، خانها من خان. ولو كنت أحفظ صلاة لرتلتها على روحها الباسلة. زمن النحل ولى أيها الإمبراطور. دعني أطير بأجنحة المتقصفة إلى هاوية أخرى، فأنا لا عسلا ولا شمعا تركت ورائي، وكل وردة حططت عليها رطنت بلغة البرابرة. دعني من تأملاتك، فأنا لن أنفع أحدا، وسياني إن عاد السرب أو ما عاد. سياني أيها الإمبراطور. Emperor. It isn't true, Emperor, that what is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee. Permit me, a bee, to set right your meditations. I no longer have a swarm to fly with, nor white flowers who understand my tongue. The hive has crumbled under the boots of the barbarians. Traitors betrayed it, and I would have recited prayers for its courageous soul, if I knew any. The time of bees is over, Emperor. Let me fly on fractured wings to another abyss. I leave behind no honey, no wax, and the flowers I alight on jabber in the barbarians' language. Leave me out of your meditations, for I am no good to anyone, and it is all the same whether the swarm returns or not, Emperor. It is all the same. And now return to Nor George.
Oh my God. Oh, holy crap. Can we give another round of applause virtually to the this felt like more like a family reunion than like a reading. Honestly, I'm just like, with some folks like Mustafa who I've never met before, and some familiar faces that and also some of y'all know each other too, and it's just so I don't know. It just makes me so full and so grateful. Also that we can just be here and like grieve together and just be, I don't know. I feel like I'm going insane, honestly. And I'm just like literally every single second of every single day these days, I'm just like Gaza is starving. I'm like just I cannot, there's just nothing in this world right now that matters as much as getting Gaza immediate aid and getting Palestine free from the river to the sea like now. And I feel like we are, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like my hopelessness means that we are closer to liberation in a weird way. And I just feel like really grateful for the range of emotions everyone brought in, and the grief and the rage and the sorrow and like and just everything. So just thank you all so much. Noor, do you want to close us out? I don't know. I don't know what else to say, but thank you all.
Yeah, just thank you for being here, you guys. And I had posted in the chat, I've been writing emails to y'all for like 3, 4 years. And it's just so good to see your faces and share in the joy and the grief of everything. Yeah, I'll just stop there. I have a book to deliver to Noah.
Inshallah, honestly, I wish I could just literally I wish we could all just teleport to Palestine right now. Just like, whoop, just tunnel under the borders, the fake, occupation, and just bloop, just we're all in Palestine and
I
we
think
all
that's the grief of it, is that in another life we would be physically in the same room together. And inshallah, that day is coming. I also just want to encourage our readers and contributors to find the folks in your city, in your country, and organize your own small readings. We're having a launch this Saturday in Detroit. And so please link up for each other. I think the poetry is really great, but what's even better is the community that comes from it and organizing together after. And yeah, so.
And Noor and I have been upfront about that too, that the goal was always connection. The goal was always we're a very ulterior motive here. It's just getting Palestinians into a room together, despite our national and linguistic and differences and that are implicit to our colonial condition. And so yeah, I mean, I really think, and for everyone watching on the interwebs, if you all want to host people, okay, you don't have any excuse. There are like over 100 folks in this anthology. You don't have any excuse. Hit up these people, ask them for their poems, pay them well for their poems, organize with them, collaborate with them. I guarantee you, wherever you are in the world, there's probably someone in this anthology who lives close to you and who you can collaborate with and be more in community with. The last thing I'll say to the general public too is, again, glory to the student resistance that we're seeing continuing despite draconian authoritarian escalation in the US. Like, just wow. I'm floored. I'm so floored. Seeing almost every day now I log in, I see another student protest escalating still despite all this. And just keep up the pressure, and y'all are brilliant. And for folks who can't physically go to protests for vulnerability and or ability issues and or just a million reasons, there's a million ways to get involved behind the scenes. Donate to mutual aid, again, like Rasha Abdul Hadi showed us earlier. GhazaFunds.com. Please give money to people, not entities. Gaza Funds are all individual campaigns doing, again, legitimately life-saving work. The Samir Project is doing also amazing, incredible life-saving work. Adopt a campaign. Again, there are ways you can get involved digitally, doing labor, contributing labor, get involved hosting a campaign, putting yourself in the way to give money to Palestinians directly is another good way Western folks can help. eSIMs, there's a really amazing eSIM campaigns to keep following. There's so many ways. Anything we do, it's both not enough, but it's so necessary that we need to keep on escalating. And yeah, so just keep on keeping on which is to say, for us, keeping on means disrupting everyone else is keeping on. So keep on disrupting, keep on ending the world and building a new one. Yeah.
Real quick, bonus reading, Jen joined.
Yes. Postscript. Yes, Jen. Jen is here. Oh my God.
Jen,
Okay.
can you say hi?
Yeah, you'll have the last. Yeah, great, awesome. So now me and Noor don't have to have the last word. Jen Saraganian will have the last word.
And then we'll end the meeting.
Oh my gosh, I just got out of class. I'm so sorry.
No, hello. Where are you joining us from?
I'm in California, so Bay
Oh,
Area.
beautiful. Okay, great. Yeah, feel free to read whatever you'd like to read. I'll post your bio in the chat.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think I'm gonna just read the poem that Noor and George so like generously asked to have in this anthology, because I am so honored to be among all of you. And this book cannot be more necessary right now. So thank you. Self-portrait, a second version. I prefer tea to coffee, sleeping to waking. Maybe that's why my death seems innocuous. I wouldn't be American if my father wasn't a Palestinian refugee. I wouldn't have been born if he didn't hire my mother. Unlike my mother, I'm not allergic to scallops, hazelnuts, or buckwheat. Unlike my father, I'm not an immunologist. He's useful during a pandemic. He helped Fauci buy a Bedouin rug. He could haggle. Of course, Arabic helped too, and he spoke it, and I can't write a poem without dropping a name. When Barbara Streisand walked through my dorm, I told her The Prince of Tides was the best film. I'm prone to hyperbole. Israel will never permit me to live in my father's house. That's not exaggeration. I visit my grandparents' graves, but only for 90 days. Last summer, I didn't last 2 weeks. Conflict avoidant, my husband calls me. I prefer saying that the country was not my cup of tea. So, thank you so much. I really, again, I'm really could not be more honored, and just thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank God the reading is on YouTube, so you can catch up and see all the amazing poems you missed. And yeah, thank you all so much. And
Thank you all.
we'll see you soon, inshallah.